Leon Spin the third. How are you, brother? It's been a couple
Leonard,
days.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing awesome, man. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. And we didn't get to do our pre-race. We had some technical difficulties on both of our ends. It worked out for each of us, but here we
Well, that's
are.
good.
Pleasure Valley, round
That's
nine.
good. Yeah. Yeah, no, and I apologize. I had a mishap where I only had coming into Pleasure Valley, I have a line right there, and the whole bottom half of my phone screen did not work. So I had no phone for, well, from last Wednesday until Monday.
How good was that, huh?
Yeah, it was great, especially when I need my phone to look at qualifying times and all sorts of stuff.
Well, I was talking about the phone calls that you didn't have to take, or the text messages you didn't have to answer.
The text messages I could not answer. The phone calls still came in, and I still knew enough like where the button would be to swipe, so I still had to answer the stupid phone calls, unfortunately.
So you didn't get away with it totally. That's a
No, no.
bummer. Give me a little insight about Pleasure Valley. Uh, all the videos I've seen, all the comments I've seen, seemed like the race course was good and there was a good turnout. What's your perspective?
I mean, Pleasure Valley's it's usually a good track. They have a lot of space. It's a pretty wide open track. Um, they usually do a little bit to change it up every year. So that helps as well, but it's there is a little bit of technicality to it, but the track is usually a faster, wide open track. It has some bigger jumps that are going to separate some of the timid riders from the ballsy riders, we'll say. But I mean, yeah, it's if you went to a race to spectate this year, this would have been the one to go to. It
Really?
was a very exciting race weekend.
Nice.
Mhm,
Nice. I did see some stuff. We'll get into it class by class,
mhm.
where the riders seem to be more aggressive. I'm not even sure, I apologize to everybody for not having the points breakdowns and all of these things. You and I will go over champions and everything after round number 10, but
Mhm.
it's I believe that some of these titles are still up for grabs, if I'm not
Mm.
mistaken. Um,
Yeah, and I mean that's a big thing is there's nothing locked down. Some of the stuff there it seemed like, oh, when especially the four classes we usually talk about, at this time, Joel's usually crowned champion at this point. He can't be crowned champion until after racing, we're currently racing through to Briarcliff. He it is possible for him to lose the championship because of the triple crowns. And with Joey Norris being hurt in pro am, it is possible that Noah Arnal could take over the championship. And then obviously in WMX, if Kinsey has a bad moto or two bad motos, Emma Ray could take the WMX championship.
Man, uh, I want to get in. We'll get into that class. We'll get into that and that whole ordeal of the WMX class. But
Mhm.
um, Noah Arnell, I would have to say, in the last 2 years, in my opinion, is probably the most changed rider. And I would say that if I was looking at a future star, he's probably the guy.
Yeah, I mean Noah's definitely he has a lot of learning to do yet, and he has a lot of maturing as a rider to do yet. But yeah, he's always been a good rider. In the 250 classes, he did really well. And then, last year he had an injury, so he was out for a good chunk of the year. But this year he came back pretty strong. And, like I said, he's 17 years old now. So he's really young. He has a lot to learn yet before he makes another jump up. But he's shown that he is a very strong pro sport pro am rider.
I am old, man. I am old. 17 years old. The kid's just coming through. You remember a few years back, Mason Jackson got hurt, had a
Mhm.
off season, and then he came back. and just set the pro-am pro sport world on fire.
Mhm.
Which dominated it. What is there going on? Do you think that the medical advancements are that good where we're bringing these riders back, their conditioning and then they're just being able to bounce back at a higher level? But to me, that's just not normally the way things have happened. A rider gets
Mhm.
hurt, come back, they're a little more cautious. They don't take the same chances. And these guys seem to be coming back and being stronger and faster.
I think obviously you're seeing two riders that's happened to, and then on the other hand, you're seeing a lot of riders that do the opposite still. You do have riders that, and Mason is somebody that it has a lot of determination, a lot of drive. So yeah, he's going to have an injury, he's going to get whatever surgery he needs, and he's got the drive where he wants to come back strong and prove a point. And Noah's I think he had a broken wrist or something last year. So he took the time off that he needed for it to heal, but bones do heal as long as you don't push it.
I
And but on the other hand, there are a lot of riders out there that will have an injury that may be as bad, may not be as bad, and all of a sudden you don't really hear from them again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some of the guys, it demoralizes them in such a way they just can't seem to do it again. I
Mhm.
get it. I know riders that probably could have had a better career, but they had the one injury and they were done.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, and I think also a big thing to keep in mind is that those two are very young as well. So if they have an injury, they can take that time, they can bounce back quick. As you get older, that recovery time gets longer and longer, and you may not recover fully.
I agree that those kind of things happen. Let's jump into the pro sport class because there's some guys in the pro sport class that are down in the bottom of the order that are normally
Mhm.
fighting for the win, with Cale Deal and Damian Hubert. They're at the bottom. Do you
Yeah.
know, was there a wreck that I'm
So
not
I
aware
don't know the full details on what happened, but there was a crash involving the four riders that placed down at the bottom. Kale Deal, I know he was messed up a little bit. Nothing too serious. His bike was pretty torn up though. But Damien Hubert, I mean, he hit hard enough where he cracked a helmet.
of? Ooh,
Sebastian there, who placed 14th, 13th in that first moto. Um, he I don't know exactly what happened to him as much, but we didn't see him for the rest of the weekend.
yeah, those
Or at
top.
least with the other, with Kale and Damien, they at least lined back up on Sunday.
Okay, well, we'll get into the Sunday race, but
Right.
man, I hope that cracking a helmet, that's a severe deal. I have, to be honest with you, I've cracked one helmet and I still deal with the ramifications of that. Uh,
Right, right.
and that's a scary deal.
Yeah.
Our buddy Heath Hanna seemed to ride really well with a 4.6. Couldn't
Mhm.
get couldn't break the top. He got fifth, so he broke the top
Right.
five, but he couldn't get into the top three. Um,
Right.
the two surprises for me is Gage Beebe and Juan.
Yeah.
Juan's
Yeah.
a fifth, sixth, seventh place guy, and he goes in there and runs 2.2.
Mhm.
Must have had just an outstanding day, outstanding ride.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Wani too, he's, at Tomahawk, he had a good finish, finishing on the podium in the Pro-Am class. And, that might have just been enough drive to give him a little bit more confidence to try harder here at Pleasure Valley as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Riders do mature as they get more comfortable and start,
Mhm.
making those strides. And some of them, unfortunately, don't get in real race condition until
Mhm.
the end of the year. Whatever happens mentally or physically that just puts them over the edge so that they are 100% ready to go and at
Right.
the race course. So
Right. And I mean, he's somebody that is racing out, in Argentina where he's from as well. And he also doesn't live here full time. So with him going back and forth in the off season, going back home during the off season, coming back right at the beginning of the season, it might just take him a little bit to find his stride over here in the US.
yeah, diet, travel, food, all of these things can
Hmm.
drastically affect your performance. And maybe he got the message, the mix and the medicines fixed so that he is on. Um,
Hmm.
some guys when they travel that distance, and Argentina is not a huge travel flight, depending on where you come from. But you threw your diet off, you threw your sleep schedule off, you threw these things off. And if he finds the mix to get it dialed in, he could be rock and roll ready to go.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That's good. And Noah, we already spoke about Noah, but Noah goes out there and puts on a great ride, goes 1-1.
Hmm. Hmm.
As I said earlier, that class is probably still up for grabs, and that final round's going to be a dogfight for
Oh yeah.
where your finish is. Again, everybody, I apologize for not having the points breakdown and have it all divided. My work schedule and Leon's work schedule it's off the charts, and Leon got to celebrate a birthday, with his baby
Yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
and that's a big deal. So give us a little bit of a break here. Normally we're on it, and we apologize for not having all of that stuff ready for you.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and the big thing too, it's hard to say what's all going to happen because, pro sport, you got two throwouts. So you really have to sit down and look at all sorts of different stuff when you are dealing with the throwouts. Pro Am, you get one throwout. Pro, obviously, you don't get any. WMX, you get two as well. So when you're looking at points, it's unless you, like I said, unless you sit down and really look at everything without sounding like a jackass, it's hard to do it.
right, and I mean, there again, you get one calculation wrong, and somebody's going to jump down your throat.
Right.
But let's just transition over to WMX where the shootout is going on between Kinsey and Emma Ray. Uh, it looks like Taygun has got the third spot almost wrapped up.
Yeah, I think
Joyner,
it's probably safe to say that she's about got that one wrapped up.
Shelby and Joyner seem to be, or Olivia seem to be doing the fight out for fourth. Uh,
Hmm.
and we'll see how that breaks down. Allison, I don't even want to butcher your last name, jumped in there for third or for fourth this last round. But
Hmm.
I got to have Emma Ray on the show,
Hmm.
and everything that I had read or heard about this young lady is not true. She is
Hmm.
fantastic. She's a
Yeah.
sportsman, is what I mean by
Hmm.
that. She's a true professional athlete, and she gets paid to be an athlete. She has a fine
Hmm.
program. Uh,
Hmm.
and not everybody knows she got an injury that allowed her to come race in her normal because of her normal athletic life
Hmm.
disrupted.
Hmm.
Didn't affect racing an ATV. Um, I believe her maturity allows her to go as fast as she does. Kinsey's still young. She's in college. She's 20 years
Right.
old. Nothing against Kinsey. Kinsey's a fantastic rider, and you were super fans. So, if Kinsey pulls this battle off, it'll be pretty awesome. Um,
Hmm.
I didn't get an exact no from Emma that she wouldn't come back, but I didn't get a yes either. So,
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like all the cards would have to be just right for her to come back again. Obviously, it's it costs a lot of money to run a season, let alone come over here from another country and run that season as well.
Yeah, and she's been home twice during the season
She's been
dive.
home a couple times now. I think anytime we've had a decent break, she will go back home and obviously she's got a business and she has other stuff going on in Ireland as well.
Yeah, her husband flies in the Friday before from Ireland,
Hmm.
um, and helps her. And he's the one that's built her machines for her and put these things
Hmm.
together. Um,
Hmm.
he's also a former racer, who got
Hmm.
injured, couldn't continue on. But
Hmm.
this battle, okay, I'm a super fan of motorsports, but I love watching, competitive classes. And
Hmm.
you look at the WNBA and how horrible they manage it, and
Hmm.
it's just not even fun to watch. Women's soccer is pretty entertaining if you're a soccer fan. I'm not, so I've only watched
Hmm.
games, but those gals got it. They got it going on. They're good athletes.
Hmm.
I have never thought that I would be a super fan of the WXC and the WMX. These gals go out there and battle it out and ride, and
Hmm.
they get very little recognition in
Okay.
each class. Um, but I'm gonna throw this out there for you. I know
Hmm.
I've been consuming all the talk time, but I'm gonna turn this over to you because it's something that I really think that these gals need. I believe they
Hmm.
need to go to a pro-am format
Hmm.
next couple of years, but they're going to have to start transitioning them into a um, manufacturer class, over.
Yeah. No, I've been thinking about that. I've had conversations with the ladies in some of the interviews that I do with them as well. And I personally believe if WMX is the pro women's class, to be the pro class, you need to follow the pro rules. So I think WMX should be a production class. I think that they should be running a longer moto format, at least you know, I think at least a pro am length race. And obviously it's going to be a transition because right now they're doing, just an amateur set of laps. You need to transition them into some longer motos until we're at least at the pro am level for length.
I 100% agree. I did.
Hmm.
And a couple of gals I talked to were, hey, that's a lot of money. I already have this bike. I've had it for a number of years. I'm able to ride
Hmm.
it. Okay, we'll give them some time to transition.
Hmm.
Oh, but
Well, and that's what they did in the pro am class when they decided to go production. And that is, they gave them 2020. They announced it in 2023 and gave them 2024 as a grace period, and then 2025 is a production class. And
yeah,
it
I mean,
didn't really seem to affect the numbers much until the last few rounds.
yeah, I think you do that. Give them 2 years to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Start off in 26 with, hey, this is what's happening in 28. Be ready because we're
Right.
going on production. And you never
Mm-hmm.
know. Something could happen in the ATV world, and there could be another production 450 come out, um, with lack of development time. You don't know how great it's going to be, but it could happen. I mean, it really could.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I wish that they would, take it to the next level. I'm sure that Jeremy Osborne's not really going to like us talking like that, because he's a dad that does the work on his daughter's bike, and that's going to
Mm-hmm.
take a little bit of what he knows away from him, because he's going to have
Mm-hmm.
to learn a whole new machine.
Well, and they something that happened in the last year is Yamaha did approach the Osborns about a factory support deal, and Kinsey rode some Yamaha. She rode mine, she rode JJ's, and she rode Mason Jackson's right after the season last year just to see what she thought. And honestly, it didn't look like she skipped a beat. She hopped right on all three, hit everything on her track, and thought that they all felt good, but she, liked certain things about certain bikes better than the others. And the only reason they didn't do it is just because Jeremy thought it was going to cost too much to switch.
Wow. I mean, I really think that they should have done it, because you're going to end up doing it.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know what their program is or anything about it. I've talked to a couple guys that run cross country that are running Hondas, and they're ultimately going to make the switch. They love their Honda and they've had great success on it, but the writing's on the wall. You're going to end up on a Yamaha, so you might as well get familiar with it so that you're set up and you get that one season out of the way for your transition. And look at
Right.
Joel. He got on a Yamaha and was instantly fast.
A
Oh,
lot
that
of people have.
I know that he's a fantastic rider, but still,
Yeah.
not everybody,
Right.
not everybody can do that the same way. So,
Right. And I mean, on the other side of things is the Yamaha doesn't work for everybody either. There have been some people that have switched to the Yamaha that hate it, and it happens.
um, you know, you know me. I got the Honda logo tattooed to my chest, and really, no, I don't. But you know what I'm saying. I love it. I love Honda, and I've never disliked Yamaha, but I'm a Yamaha guy too now,
Mhm,
because
mhm,
there's so many benefits to it. And if you look back at, okay, all the guys that build race bikes and do this for a living, you also, I mean, you're a professional mechanic.
mhm.
We start looking, and you add up the championships. In my career, I've won more championships and done better things on Yamahas than I ever have any of the others.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I have quite a few championships with Honda as well, but there's more on Yamaha.
Right. Right. And I mean, I can't, yeah, I've been a Yamaha guy for a long time. I've owned my first Yamaha, my first YFZ, I should say. I bought that brand new in 2013 and I still have it. I still love it to this day. But, you know, there's not one that I hate. I've got so many different machines from so many different brands for a reason. I'm not only going to own Yamahas for the rest of my life. I'm gonna have Hondas, I'm gonna have Suzuki's, I'm gonna have Kawasaki's, I'm gonna have Can-Ams. It's
Easy, easy. Let's not get all crazy and everything, okay?
I have a Can-Am. So,
I hope it's
but yeah, I
I
mean,
hope
I've got so many different quads. What's that?
I hope it's in mothballs.
It's actually not assembled currently.
That's
Period.
a great thing. Hey, let's get into this. I got one more question for you, and then we'll get into
Mhm.
pro. Um, if Suzuki came back out with their model, their LTR, would it compete with the Yamaha?
I think if they did a few different updates to it, yeah, absolutely. If you had some support for it, and you just but the biggest thing would be update the fuel system, which I mean many companies have done made solutions. Marshall Smith has probably the easiest solution to it, which is just take the
Perfect.
stock tank, modify it for a KTM. I mean, I just got a tank from him, so I could put a KTM throttle or a KTM fuel pump in my LTR, and it's amazing just pulling that fuel pump and swirl filter out of the mix, and then you got the external regulator, all that crap. Just they all it's I mean, obviously the LTR was an early fuel injected quad. All of your early fuel injected quads were messes. I mean, you go back to what I believe would be the original fuel injected production quad, which is the Cannondale, and that thing is a nightmare.
Right.
I mean, that thing looks like they just took all the electrical out of the under the hood of a Honda Civic and threw it at a four-wheeler chassis. So overly complicated. And then we've had it get simplified throughout the years to where we are now with the YFZ, where it's very simple for a fuel injected machine. So Suzuki were to just spend a little bit of time, simplifying and upgrading the fuel system, making that transmission, bomb proof, and just doing a few different updates, which nowadays you've gone through so much stuff with the bike side of things that maybe you just put a different engine in that altogether, or you just fix what's the weak points and throw the machine back out there.
I think that they should just fix the weak points and put the same machine back out there because that engine was fast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think people ever had a power issue with it. But yeah, that's great. I am on the exact same page with you as far as making those changes.
Yeah.
Will it ever happen? I doubt it. Suzuki is making too much money building little cars for Asian countries.
Yeah, they make so much money doing all sorts of stuff outside of the power sports industry that, yeah, it looks like every year it seems like everyone's like, oh, Suzuki's on their final leg. Now they're doing fine. Their power sports industry just isn't doing so hot.
Yeah, because they don't care. It's a blip on the screen for them. You know,
Mhm.
you look at Honda, motorcycles and
Right,
ATVs are a blip on the screen for them as well.
right, right. But for both of those brands, their street bike side divisions are keeping everything else afloat.
Probably.
When you look at Suzuki, you see GSXRs everywhere. The name Hayabusa and the name GSXR or Gixxer is in everyone's mouths. Everybody knows what those are. Honda, yeah, the Goldwing isn't selling like they used to because let's face it, the Goldwing clientele keeps getting older and they're swapping to, I mean, from my experience in the power sports industry, the wingers are getting older and they're trading in the Goldwings for K&M Spiders and Rikers so they don't have to balance anymore. But, Honda's street motorcycle side is still pretty big
Right.
and they have a lot of budget machines as well.
Right. I mean, and their dirt bikes are top notch.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if I'm going to go buy a motocross bike, I'm going to go buy a Honda.
Right, right,
Sorry. It's just that's where I'm going to go first. Uh,
right.
I just went and picked up a 25 Raptor 700 for a customer, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, the motorsports dealerships on the West Coast are probably in trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think that sales are near what they need, and it's the first time I've been in a dealership when there was one customer besides myself there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was already pre-done and set up. All I had to do is roll in, sign a piece of paper, and roll out. And
Mm-hmm.
they'll
Yeah.
put it in there.
And I think we're getting to, I mean, everyone I talk to that have businesses, doesn't matter what kind of business it is, sounds like business is down right now across the board. But when it comes to the power sports industry, your brick and mortar stores are starting, I feel like they're starting to hurt again. They obviously I was in the dealership scene for many years, and it was the same thing. You're dealing with the online retailers, you're dealing with Motorsport and Rocky Mountain and even Amazon, and then all of a sudden COVID hit and business skyrocketed because then people wanted to get out of their houses. And now that it's been a few years, we're kind of getting back to that mentality where people don't want to leave their houses for anything.
I don't think that that's the case. I think people do. I think that we're in a little bit of a transition as far as money goes. You know, there's some people that are holding on to their cash, wanting to see how things play out. Um, I mean, brick and mortar is there are trying to get rid of brick and mortar. My deal is to all of the people that use the online services, what are you going to do when we're not there to ask the questions on how to do it?
Mhm. And I've always been a big supporter of, go and support your brick and mortar store and go and support your dealership. But I mean, I will be honest. Yeah, I worked at a dealership that was I would say a top tier dealership for many years. You know, we had a large team. I wouldn't say too large, but we had a big team of professionals that knew what we were doing. You know, we all took pride in being experts in what we did. And that was in Wisconsin. I come here to Ohio and I've got people knocking on my door all the time asking me about, machines. My neighbor has a Suzuki ATV that he took to the dealership and never ran right after that. And I went into it, looked at his bill and saw what he paid for, and then got into that machine and realized they didn't put any of those parts in your machine. So it's like, yeah, now that I am no longer in the dealership scene, I'm losing faith in a lot of dealerships as well.
Yeah, you have the same problem with your car dealers as well. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, we could go off on this tangent all day long. Let's
Right.
let's let's get back to the ATV race at Pleasure Valley and jump into the Pro-Am class. Um, the order of riders, your Cody, your Kale, your Damon, your Noah, these guys all performed really well. We got
Mm-hmm,
to see Adam Ulrich come back and race in the Pro-Am class. Heath
mm-hmm.
Hand didn't fare too well, unfortunately. What happened to Heath? Heath didn't even
Heath in staging, he fired up his quad to come down to the line for to get to his gate, and he had a ring stuck.
oh,
And so he fired that thing up, and it was just straight smoke out the exhaust.
oh, you gotta hate that, right? That's
Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
poor guy can't even get a break, can he?
No, not at all.
Man.
So, yeah, he didn't start either moto because he just decided I'm not putting that stress on my dad and trying to get him to do a top end of my quad quick. So they just called it a day. And then, when we were talking in pro sport, Seba down there, number 199, was involved in the crash in pro sport, and he did not return on Sunday in pro am.
Nobody knows if he's okay.
I haven't heard anything. Um, I mean, he's another Argentinian rider that's over here. He's got like a little group of buddies, and they come over for like usually the last few rounds every year. So, but yeah, I don't personally know him. I haven't heard anything about him and how he's doing.
I think Argentina is going to have some pretty talented people, well, in the future because they have a lot of cool things, cool events going on down there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we hope that he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Heath, good luck, brother. Maybe round 10 will be the shining star for him, and he
Yeah.
can put himself on the box in both of those classes. Uh, I believe that you told me that the Pro-Am championship is up for grabs between Norris and is it Arnal that could take it or
Yeah, it's possible. So Norris went out. Obviously, you see, he got a ninth place finish. In pro and in pro am, he's just been. They moved the clutch lever over to the right side, so he's now doing brake, clutch, and throttle all on one hand, and he's just rolling laps out there, just to salvage any sort of points that he can. Um, so it's possible that he can still get it, but if something were to happen, it is possible that Noah could take that away from him.
wow. And then, Juan again put himself in a great position, had a great
Mhm.
ride, and he even beat Noah in the
Mhm.
first moto by winning the first moto.
So first moto, Noah had to get off right away in the moto and then worked his way back up to fifth place.
Well, that's great. That's really
Hmm.
great. Do
Yeah.
you think the speeds caused a little more of the get-offs, or are we getting close to where riders may be exerting a little bit more to get the better finishes because none of the championships are decided?
Like I said, I don't know what happened in pro sport. by any means. I don't get to watch any Saturday motos. But I can tell you with Noah's, it was just coming into a turn and basically coming off a big triple, going into the turn before the off camber. And I believe there was a little bit of bumping, and he ended up catching and flipping the quad.
And just off, back on, got going again, and everything was okay.
Yep. 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 And it was early in the moto, so everybody was pretty close at that point.
So he didn't lose too much ground, but then he had to battle his way back through the field.
Yep. Yep.
I'm sure it seems like Hubert and Deal were still probably a little sore from the day before, because
It's quite
usually
possible
they're
with them.
farther up the deal. What's up with Cody?
Cody just I don't obviously he got third in the first moto. He was riding pretty strong in that first moto, and then I mean Wani right off the bat in the first moto got the whole shot. He pulled away. Jayden came out of the first turn and I believe fifth place and worked his way up. But by the time Jayden got around Cody, I mean Wani was too far gone. And so he pulled away from Cody, but didn't have enough to get up to and pass Wani.
Well, he must have changed things in the second moto because he won the second moto.
Second
The
moto, he got a better start. Wani did not get as good of a start. Noah actually got the whole shot in the second moto of Pro Am, and basically Jayden passed him. It was actually a pretty interesting pass coming through the finish line straight. They were side by side, and he pushed a little bit harder coming into a corner and passed him and shut the door on him from the outside of the corner as well.
Really, that's unusual.
Hmm. Yeah.
So Jayden Londerville's back to health and taking advantage of being back on the machine.
We're getting there, getting back to kind of where he was and try to progress from there, obviously. I mean, it's hard when you make that jump up to pro and that is your main focus. If you get injured for even a round and you come back, well, now you're 10 steps back. So if you skip a couple rounds and then your first round back is terrible due to the heat and everything else, and you're a rider that is prone to being affected by heat, it's gonna really start getting to you mentally and emotionally. So lining back up on in pro am on Sunday, I think gave him that extra confidence boost that we'll see if it helps out come Briarcliff or not.
Yeah, I mean, that's I hope that it does. I really do.
Hmm.
He's
Hmm.
he's young. He's got a lot more left in him as far
Hmm.
as, years to do this. Um, and he's so tall.
Right, right.
So
Yeah,
much.
the biggest thing with him is and it's with pretty much everybody that is in this pro am class right now is it's maturing as a rider. I mean, JJ is one of I mean, obviously I see his riding firsthand, so I can say he has a lot of maturing and figuring out things as a rider because rookie season of pro class and he's riding like a young Chad, just reckless with no mechanical sympathy whatsoever. So there's a lot of mistakes happening because you're just balls out the entire time. And when the bike bucks back, bucks back hard.
And
And if it's not the bike that bites you back, it's you break something.
you think that he's developing and learning, I got to go this fast, but he hasn't learned how to finesse the machine to go that fast yet.
Right, right. And a big thing too there is how I've always kind of put it is, I'm dealing with a cold trickle. I'm dealing with somebody that honestly doesn't really know what is going on. He just knows that he turns a key, hits a button, and hits the gas, and it goes vroom vroom.
Right.
Doesn't know how all the components work and what they're doing. So there's things that he thinks that if he does something, it's going to make it better, and really it doesn't. Holding the bike, holding the throttle wide open from the second you leave the ground to when you land doesn't do anything but cost more money, because we're gonna have to do a top end and replace the valves and piston and everything else a lot quicker than we should.
Well, then it's hard on the transmission when you land.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, that just okay. I get it.
Oh yeah, you understand because you know what's going on inside as well.
Yeah, dude,
Hmm.
you got to evolve and learn, and it just doesn't come every day. Some riders evolve faster than others, and the transition from the way he rides in pro-am, if he just rode that way in pro,
Hmm.
knowing that he could gain a little speed in the turns, gain a little speed in the approach to the jumps, but not override the machine, he'd actually be better off than seems to be, just pin it to win it and hope everything works out.
Right. Right.
It
Exactly.
didn't work out for Chad when he was younger, or any of the other riders that have developed through the years.
Hmm.
Um, we will really get into depth on some of these riders in our next show, as far as where we think they're going to be over the next year, because there's a couple guys in the list that I think their careers are either in jeopardy, or they're mentally going to transition because they're not getting the finishes they want. They just the class has gotten so competitive from that second place to 10th place that a one bobble and you're out of the top eight.
Hmm.
And
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, it's one of those things too that when you're looking at these riders and you're seeing how many riders in the pro class will be leaving this year, and you really look at it, it's like there really isn't anybody in that pro am class that is ready to move up.
right, right. You
So
you just answered my question for me, because insight on a few guys that are in the pro class that probably aren't going to come back. Our biggest one is Chad Wienen.
yeah, I mean, we know of Chad already. Um, Let me go back through here and look at it. So you've got Chad that will not that won't be back. You've got Jeffrey that won't be back. Wesley claims he won't be back, but we'll see. I've heard Janusa as well. Kevin is it's it's possible, but it's also not possible. It's a program situation for him, and can he afford another season coming over here? So, I mean, you've got those riders right there that may, we may see them, we may not, but for sure we've got two that are leaving.
Yeah, and losing two hurts because there's nobody replacing them.
Right.
Um, I potentially see four on the list, maybe five.
Hmm.
And you
Yeah.
lose five guys, you lose five spots in the pro class, and then I mean, you're down to lining up 11 people.
Right.
Um,
Right. And that's a big thing too is, if there's under 10 riders, there's no contingency.
right. I
So,
guarantee that we're going to lose three because
mhm.
Marshall's coming back.
What's that?
Marshall Smith's not coming back.
Marshall keeps going back and forth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I talked to him. He was out.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's gone back and forth a few times now.
yeah, well, has the Team USA talk calmed down?
I'll be honest with you, it's just like anything else nowadays. It was a big stink for like a day. You don't hear anything about it.
Nobody now. Nobody cares. I
No,
understand that you're still sending three of the fastest riders on the planet out there.
exactly.
I don't think it's an issue. Yeah, Wesley would have been great for him to go, but there again, Chad was the guy in third in points. He probably still is. Um, the order has shifted it a little bit because Brandon Hoag's season keeps going good moto, bad moto. I
Mhm.
don't know if they're having bike issues or body issues, but there's
Um, in the first moto of Pleasure Valley, Brandon had a mishap. It was just a rider issue. He had to get off of the bike. There wasn't any bike issues or anything like that, and that's a big thing too with Brandon is, you know, obviously we know that he is a very fast rider and he is probably speed wise is deserving of going back over there again, but it all comes down to consistency. And for Brandon, the consistency, yeah, it's a little bit mental. It's a little bit, it's probably second of Brandon issues is mental confidence, but his number one issue has been bike issues.
right,
So if he can get himself in a better solid program for next year, and that's the hopes that it happens is that he's under a consistent strong bike that he can be on the gate and know as I ride this it's going to bring me to the finish line in one piece. It's not going to blow up, it's not going to break, nothing's and I can ride it to the max the entire time. That's when we're going to find this next level of Brandon Hogue.
right. Um, the second moto crash.
The pile up in the first turn.
Yeah, do you believe that is one of the reasons why Chad announced?
No, Chad told me Friday before the races happened.
I kind of figured in the conversation I had with him earlier this year that he
Mhm,
was coming back to give it one last shot and he
mhm,
done. I don't think even if he would have been the wind crusher and gone out and beat Joel, I still don't think that he would have continued. Um,
yeah. No, I think it was kind of a one last ride deal because I was told that he was gonna be done in 2023, and then he re-signed a contract with Yamaha, and obviously last year got hurt, but this year he came back and I think it was just kind of a last hurrah type deal, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it obviously was it's been talks around the pits all season long, but Friday in the pre-race press conference, he announced it right then and there. So I don't think obviously his mind has been made up for a while, but it's not like he just came out on Monday and announced it. He announced it technically on Friday. I'm just too damn busy to get the shit posted.
right.
Hmm.
And it's okay. I mean, I get
Yeah.
it. End of an era, end of an icon, nothing
Hmm.
against you got to look at all of these guys had the honor to race with him as well as he had the honor to race with them because they all made him better. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
him and Joel's rivalry. I hope that Joel really enjoys this last Team
Hmm.
USA with Chad. I don't think Chad will
Yeah.
be gone from that, but
Oh
as
no, I think Chad will. I think slash hope Chad will be back as part of Team USA because and like I told him in one of the interviews that we did is you know Team USA is kind of Chad Wienen and Harv Whipple's little baby. Without those two, we wouldn't be doing this.
right,
Well, at least for as long as we have. Somebody else may have come up with the idea after that, but it's those two sitting down and Chad bringing it up that got the wheels going and built Team USA.
right, exactly.
So I could see him coming back. Obviously you've got Mark and Jody that are kind of the team captain, team manager. But if Chad were to come back as something with them, one of the guys behind the scene, and honestly as a Chad as a team manager or something like that would really be great because he knows everything of what it takes to be on top come that weekend.
Yeah, because you got to look at Mark Baldwin can't do this forever.
No,
Not
and
much.
that's just it.
You're not much younger than I am.
Mhm.
So, and Harv, isn't Harv out after this year?
So I don't know exactly what Harv is doing. I know he keeps pulling back a little bit more and more each year. This year he pulled out of being the pro ATV ref. But that was mainly because he's doing so much. He's the ref for Supercross Futures, and he's doing all sorts of stuff on the dirt bike side of things still.
Right. I get it.
So,
Hey, hats off to Westley Wolfe for riding hard this weekend and putting himself on the 3 spot. Bryce had to battle back to get himself for a 2-2.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Joel, and one of the things that I read, made a pass from third to first. And this one wasn't a freebie. He had to really
No.
work to go 1-1. And
Both motos were, and that's why, right away in this recording, I said that there was probably the best race to spectate all year because Joel had to fight his way up. In the first moto, Wesley led for I believe 5 laps, and it was a good battle for a while. And Chad was up there in seconds. Joel, it was a really good Chad and Joel battle for a while. Joel ended up making some pretty damn risky passes to get up into the lead. But yeah, I mean that first moto especially was really fun to watch. And even in the second moto, Jeffrey led for quite a while before ultimately kind of dropped. He started dropping back, but in the end, he started witnessing some bike issues and dropped back to 15th.
that's just a bummer. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
bummer that they have that. But you know, we're uh we're rounding out. You made a comment that Joel couldn't be crowned champion because of the Triple Crown.
Those are the Triple Crowns.
Does that affect his overall title? Because he's already pointed out.
It's
He's already
What's
pointed
that?
out no way he can be beat.
Nope. He to be crown champion before the end of the weekend, you need to have I believe it's a 60-point deficit. You need to be in the lead by 60 points, and he's only 50 some points. So he has to. I heard what exactly needs to happen, but I forget. But I believe he has to win, and I think Bryce has to get third for him to get it in the first moto of the Triple Crown. Otherwise, he's gonna have to wait till the second moto of the Triple Crown to actually crown the champion.
Okay. And knowing Joel, he's going to go out and try to win all three of them.
Oh, he's definitely gonna try. But yeah, I mean, usually the last round is kind of a breather for him in the last couple of years, anyways. He can breathe a little bit because he's got it wrapped up. But this year, no, it's coming down to the last round.
If let's say Wesley gets out in front of him, if Wesley leads 5 laps, isn't that almost a Triple Crown moto?
With Briarcliff's lap times, I mean it's gonna be close. Yeah, it's gonna be close.
So Joel's going to have to be on his game because I guarantee Wesley and Bryce, are going to be hungry. Chad's probably going to go out because he knows they're going to be shorter motos, so he's probably going to be fast as well.
Mm-hmm.
With your whole host,
Chad might try a little bit harder, but at the same time, he's probably gonna pull back a little bit because even after Briarcliff, he's got 2 more events to go attend to.
2 more.
He's doing Team USA for the Quad Cross of Nations, and he's going over to Ponteveau.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So isn't Joel going over there this year too?
to which one?
Rendezvous.
I don't believe so. There was talks of Wesley, but as of this last Saturday, he wasn't sure if he was going or not. And I feel like if you're going, that should be set already.
Right.
So, because I
There's
also
another,
heard that Janusa was possibly going and Wesley was possibly going.
well, there's another Phoenix team that's going. I I don't have all the specifics on it.
I mean, Grayson might be going. I wonder if it's Grayson and John. And I don't know who else would be going with them.
I'm not sure either. We'll have to reach out and get that information. But
Yeah.
I can't wait till freaking Ohio and the next round.
Yeah, yeah. And actually it's obviously Briarcliff's a couple weeks away, but there's no downtime. I mean, I'm actually going to be leaving here in a few hours to get ready. We've got the Matt Bartosik Memorial Race this weekend at Tuning Raceway in Pennsylvania. And then next weekend at Tri City Raceway, which is owned by an ATV motocross family, the Schiffer family, they're having a big event as well, and that is also in I think it's Franklin, PA, and then we have Briarcliff after that. So you've got three PA races, and then season ender at Briarcliff.
Wow. Make sure you keep me abreast of those races and let me know. Maybe we could do some stuff, to promote them and help you guys out or help those events out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm going to be racing finally, so we'll see how much. Well, myself and Colton are both racing, so we'll see what I've got for any downtime, if any. But
Outstanding.
no, this what's that?
I said outstanding.
Yeah, yeah, it should be this weekend should be pretty good. 'Cause, Colt and I are racing ATV Big Air Tour, which Nick Rogers and John Langus, who are two of the freestyle guys on that crew, really good friends of mine. They are also putting on freestyle shows this weekend at that facility. It's gonna be a pretty packed race weekend for a local race.
No, that's great. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, and obviously it's all it's Matt Bartosik Memorial Race. There's some good payouts and stuff like that, and then there is going to be some like a fundraiser dinner that will go back to 88 Live to Ride, which is Debbie Bartosik's foundation in memory of Matt Bartosik. So it's going to be pretty cool, and it's all for a good cause.
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Hmm.
Leon, I want to thank you so much for coming on our race report. I appreciate all
Hmm.
you do for the sport and the fact that you help
Yeah,
us by being there and being so active in the ATV motocross scene.
right.
As always, make sure you tell JJ I said hello. And
Will do.
I hope that Winnie enjoyed her party.